online education portal of IGNOU. So please join these programs and fulfill your educational aspirations.
We wear clothes on a daily basis. But have we ever wondered, where do our clothes come from? Who makes our clothing? And who are the people and the process responsible for the whole manufacturing of our clothing? If you want to know more about this, Indira Gandhi National Open University from the School of Continuing Education has launched a program which is Certificate in Apparel Merchandising. There are many benefits after doing this program. You can become a designer in various fields. It can be fashion designer, apparel designer, costume designer, or even a textile designer. One can also work as a fashion consultant. Research and development is another field which one can take up after doing this certificate course. Going into academics is another perk after doing this program. Getting into fashion houses or fashion studios as an intern is also a very good option post doing the certificate in apparel merchandising. The basic eligibility of the program is 10+2. The duration of the program is 6 months to 2 years. The program is also available for both the admission cycles, which is July and January. The exams are conducted twice a year, in June and December. So what are you waiting for? Join this program and get an enriching knowledge in the field of apparel merchandising. And to do so, you can log on to the official website of the university, www.ignou.ac.in.
A warm welcome to IGNOU. If you're creative, if you can write well, and if you can visualize, mass communication is the correct career option for you. I am going to talk about postgraduate diploma in journalism and mass communication, which is also the first year of MA program in journalism and mass communication. So any learner who has done a postgraduate diploma in journalism and mass communication is eligible to take admission straight away into the second year of our master's program in journalism and mass communication. Duration to complete this program is minimum 1 year, and because we have this inherent flexibility in distance education system, you can take up to 3 years to complete this program. The minimum eligibility criteria for taking admission in this program is bachelor's in any discipline. To give you a glimpse of what are the various components of this program, we begin with telling you what mass communication is, what are the various areas, various branches of mass communication. Then we go on to tell you about the various reporting techniques and beats of reporting, followed by media ethics, the principles, the code.
Welcome learners. Today we again come to you with a unit of the course MGM 025, which is Media Ethics and Laws. So if you are a student of MAJMC or PGJMC, Media Ethics and Laws is your 5th course of semester 1. And we have been doing a series of videos and teleconferencings for all the units of this course. Today I shall discuss with you the last unit of this course, which is Unit 15. And because this happens to be the last unit, it is a unit which is based upon the applications and implications of what happens around you. In this block, which is block 4, in the previous 2 units 14 and 15, we looked at the laws and ethics concerning the professions of advertising and public relations. Today is the right culmination of those theoretical concepts. Unit 15 deals with specific case studies related to advertising and public relations. As always, this unit is also divided into a structural taxonomy, which is we give you the introduction, then the learning outcomes, and then we come on to the cases of advertising. Then we discuss cases of public relations, where something related to media ethics or media laws was involved and how we can do learnings from these cases. Then we sum up the entire concepts, give you a list of further readings, and give you answers to check your progress, which you will find spread through your study material. So friends, to introduce to you the concept, as we understood from the previous 2 units, media ethics and laws is important for every professional in this field, be it journalists or people involved with the persuasive communication professions like publicity, advertising, public relations. The study of advertising is also about understanding the markets, the consumers, the behavior of these consumers, brand management, and various other professional nuances. And public relations means to establish the relationships with your internal as well as your external publics. Now, when you go through this relationship management or the persuasion of buying into a product, you tend to exaggerate your claims. Sometimes you tend to put in lies and truth together with it. This unit shall give you the cases where people were implied or they were put to check for something that they did in the way of selling the product. Now, before I proceed further, let me give you a disclaimer. During this whole video today, which is divided into 2 parts, we shall discuss the advertising case studies and the public relation case studies. Because we are discussing specific real cases, the examples from the real world, we shall be mentioning names of brands, individuals, or organizations. These are purely for educational purposes. You shall find the same case studies in your study material as well. We at IGNOU are not endorsing or demeaning any of these brands, people, or organizations. So for organizational purpose, for educational purpose, everything that is there in the public domain, these cases have already been discussed in the newspapers, in a study material by different organizations. We are using the same cases to get you a better understanding of what you should do and what you should avoid when you are in these professions. So with this kind of an introduction to you, let me give you the learning outcomes. By the end of today's counseling session, we expect you to be able to discuss the importance of case studies in understanding ethics and laws in advertising as well as in PR. We also expect that you would be able to discuss the strategies that are employed by respective organizations in their persuasive strategies and communication, and also to be able to discuss the lessons that you learn from these specific cases. Now, without much ado, let us come to the case studies in advertising. Case studies are actually very important because they include an honest appraisal of a situation. What happened? What was reprimanded? What could have been avoided? What should have been done? The case studies also include the strategies that involved the tackling of a particular crisis. When something happened, therefore it becomes a case. There was a crisis. How was it tackled? A case study provides a roadmap for future to not only the concerned institutions, but also to the onlookers and the general public. So let me begin with these case studies. I have put 5 case studies from your course material and 5 more from the extra kind of readings that you should be doing. I have divided these case studies into 4 broad parts. I'll give you an overview of the case, the key points, why this case became something that we need to study, and then I'll give you certain pointers for discussion. friends, I presume that you have gone through the previous units in this block, so you have enough knowledge now to be able to discuss and evaluate this case. And then, after some food for thought to you to discuss, we shall go on to what were our learnings from these particular cases. The first case that I wish to discuss with you is a landmark case. Anybody who is studying advertising or public relations would be dealing with this case. This is about Johnson & Johnson's Tylenol capsules. Now, this is a 1982 case, though it is a little old. But as I said, it is a landmark case. It has gone down the history of advertising as to what ethical practices should be. Johnson & Johnson's put out a very good example of when the crisis strikes, how you don't just deny the crisis, you go ahead and face it. So what had actually happened was, in 1982, Johnson & Johnson faced a crisis when 7 people actually died in Chicago after taking Tylenol capsules that were supposed to be laced with cyanide. Now, it was thought of that some predators had actually put in some cyanide in those capsules, and after 7 deaths happened. What did Johnson & Johnson do? No, it did not deny. It did not say, oh, we are not responsible. We take very good care of our medicinal packaging. No. Johnson & Johnson came out with a swift response. This company included nationwide recall, public warnings, and also cooperation from the authorities. They went to the food authorities, the medicinal authorities. They said, these capsules, this batch is kind of wrong, it is poisonous, and we are recalling it back. Though it did result in some losses to the company in terms of finances, but it did give them a big gain in terms of the trust that the public started placing in this company. So actually what happened was, the key points that Johnson's did is, they recalled 31 million bottles of these capsules. The development of a tamper-proof packaging was done. They regained public trust through transparency and swift action. New regulations regarding packaging were started after this particular case. I would like you to see this case in this perspective. Johnson & Johnson crisis management is a classic example of ethical responsibility. Their action actually helped set new standards for safety in pharmaceutical industry. Legal and ethical implications were there with this tampering incident. Now, there was importance of public relations handling this case. So this advertising, PR, how did it happen? I would like you to think about it and take this case in this perspective that when you actually become advertisers, crises are bound to happen. We are all humans. You can't avoid crisis. But what is good is not to deny the crisis. Take responsibility. Be answerable to your public. And then maybe the ethical practices, what we learn from here is the legal implication of having proper packaging and the ethical implication of being answerable to your consumers. Another classic case in this series is the PepsiCo case, the tampering rumors. So in 1993, what happened is that there were widespread rumors about cans of Pepsi are having hypodermic needles. So somebody drank a Pepsi and put up a picture out there in the media that there is a needle which I found in this can. Now, initially, PepsiCo denied the allegations. But then they realized, no, this will not help. They went ahead and collaborated with FDA, which is the Food Development Authority, to address this issue. What did Pepsi do? Pepsi released videos of their factory where the packaging process was being shown, and they said that in our facilities it is very difficult, rather it is impossible to tamper with the cans. And there is no evidence of tampering which is found in the manufacturing. So Pepsi actually took a proactive approach that helped debunk the rumors. Within a week, these rumors were set to rest. So when Pepsi actually took the responsibility of showing their consumers the facilities, they tied up with FDA, and therefore it helped them. The reputation was not harmed, rather people started trusting the brand more. So effective use of media to combat misinformation, legal steps that were taken to address and protect the company's reputation, and the importance of crisis communication with proactive dealing is the ethical and legal learning from this case. Let us come to the third case today, which all of you would be familiar with because this happened in India. Cadbury's worm-infested candy bars. Not long ago, in 2003, certain live worms were said to be found in Cadbury's chocolates, the dairy milk chocolate. Initial reaction of Cadbury's was they denied any such responsibility and they rather put it on the warehouses. They said that because of the improper storing at the retailers, this might have happened. The infestation is not a responsibility. But then a lot of public hue and cry happened and Cadbury's realized that we cannot escape the responsibility. They took over this kind of a crisis heads on, and this helped them. What actually helped was nationwide recall of the infested packaging. They recalled a whole batch of dairy milk chocolates. They called it back. They collaborated with the Food and Safety Standards Authority of India, which is FSSAI. They ran intensive PR campaigns and intensive advertisements to restore their brand image. I would like you to think about this case in terms of the importance of swift, transparent response to product safety issues, legal and ethical responsibilities in ensuring public safety, and what could have been the long-term impact on the brand reputation and consumer trust if Cadbury's had not come out in the open taking responsibility. So, friends, I want you to discuss it with your peer group, to discuss in your class, research on these cases and actually learn from these cases. The implications of this case, ethical, was ensuring product safety and transparency, and the legal implication that comes in is the compliance with food safety regulations. All these cases are also discussed in your study material when you go through MGM 025 book that is given to you. All these cases would be discussed much more in detail. Today in this session, I'm just brushing upon the cases in a very broad manner. Another very important case in the history of advertising is the Toyota's recall fiasco. From 2009 to 10, Toyota, which is a famous car brand, faced a major recall crisis due to the unintended acceleration in some of its vehicles. So there were reports that some of Toyota's vehicles have an unintended acceleration. The company immediately sprung upon its feet. They recalled millions of cars worldwide and they halted the production unless the issue was addressed. The action points that happened was immediate recall of the vehicles, comprehensive investigation and resolution of the issue, and the CEO of Toyota issued a public apology and said that we are committed to public safety. So when a person in authority comes out in open, the consumers and the public at large tend to trust the brand more. Learnings from this case are the role of effective communication in managing even large-scale recalls, legal implications and regulatory scrutiny that was faced by Toyota, and ethical responsibility towards consumer safety and product quality. Friends, these are bigger companies. Another very big company that faced a crisis and handled it nicely is Mattel. So Mattel is a company that manufactures toys. Some of the toys in 2007 that were manufactured in China, there were reports that they had a covering of a lead paint and they had small magnetic parts that could be swallowed by little children. Now the company faced a lot of public kind of dismissal. The public was very angry at them on this. But what did Mattel do? Mattel recalled all these damaged toys. They said that we have been outsourcing the production and we are kind of unaware that this kind of a fiasco happened. But we take full responsibility of this, and they had a massive recall of over 21 million toys. This strengthened the safety standards and testing procedures. There was a public apology and there was a commitment to consumer safety. I would like you to think about this case in these light of these points. The impact of global supply chains on product safety. When a company says that we had outsourced their production, do they actually owe the responsibility still to the production? Legal and ethical considerations in ensuring safety of toys, especially for children? And what is the role of advertising and even public relations in consumer concerns to restore the trust? So we've looked at examples of multinational companies like Cadbury's, Johnson & Johnson's, Mattel, Toyota, and the crises were nothing short. If you have syringes and Pepsi of you, or if small children can swallow toys, or if you have worms in a chocolate bar, of course there is a big blow to the reputation and there is competition which is waiting to take your position. So we learned from these cases that there is a responsibility to be ethical and also to adhere to the regulatory standards of the country in which you are producing and in which you are selling. Now let us look at some more examples from around you. Some more of advertising case studies. These are additional to what you would find in your study material. Closer home, Amul is a very famous brand, and Amul is known for its topical advertising. Amul's topical advertisements are known for their witty commentary on current events. These ads are actually celebrated for their humor and timely relevance. However, sometimes they can lead to defamation. There is an ethical challenge of balancing the humor with sensitivities. There is also a legal consideration in advertising. So Amul tends to give topical ads about political situations, sports, films, social situations that are happening. And when you are humorous, you might end up defaming or hurting somebody. So managing a balance between humor and sensitivities is really important. Amul has been doing it wonderfully. You might be looking at those ads of Amul that come at the back of their butter packets or they are put out in large hoardings. I would urge you to analyze the impact of Amul's ads on public opinion and also media regulations. You should discuss how these ads navigate the boundaries of free speech and advertising standards. All through the discussions of this course of MGM 025, we have been talking about free speech. Now, how free is your free speech? As I repeatedly say, my rights are your responsibility and your rights are my responsibility. So does Amul land up into such cases? Yes, it does, rarely. There are defamation cases that are put on in Amul. But what are the implications for such roads when we tread them? Ethical implication is to ensure that humor is not offensive or derogatory. And the legal implication is to avoid defamation suits and comply with the advertising standards of the country. Learnings from the Amul's cases, how wonderfully they have navigated the sensitivities, defamation, legal, ethical, humor and contemporary advertising. The learnings are, Amul's ads often make satirical comments on political and social issues, sometimes even leading to public outcry. Legal action have been occasionally taken against Amul for defamation, but their ads are generally well received and very well loved by the public. This company uses a consistent brand voice to maintain public engagement and trust. These are learnings from this brand. Now we've discussed an international Cadbury kind of a fiasco. Let us come to two of these, one international and one closer home. Cadbury's has not been devoid of crisis or maybe scandals that we can call them. In 2009, Cadbury's faced significant ethical scrutiny over reports that its cocoa suppliers in West Africa were using child labor. The company was criticized for not ensuring its supply chain was free from exploitative practices. Now, Cadbury's and the issue of child labor and cocoa protection in 2009 is a case study in advertising which you would read across books. There was a public outcry and media attention on the use of child labor in the cocoa industry. Cadbury's response included commitments to source certified cocoa and to improve supply chain transparency. It partnered with NGOs and other stakeholders to address the issue of child labor. What we learned from this case study is the importance of ethical sourcing and supply chain management, legal implications of child labor in global supply chain, and the role of CSR, which is corporate social responsibility, in maintaining brand integrity and consumer trust. Another issue that Cadbury faced was in 2013. A Cadbury's dairy milk advertisement in India faced a backlash for allegedly promoting superstition. This ad actually depicted a girl getting good luck from a chocolate before her exams. Now, some viewers objected to it, saying that this interpreted irrational and superstitious beliefs related to luck. The key points of consideration here are ethical considerations in advertising content and messaging, and legal frameworks governing advertising standards and consumer protection. Balancing creativity with social responsibility is something that this case brought our attention to. Public criticism and complaints were made to ESCI, which is Advertising Standard Council of India. Cadbury's defense was that this ad was meant to be light-hearted and not to promote superstition. This ad was eventually pulled off the air following the backlash and following the instructions from Advertising Standard Council of India. The learnings from this case are: regulatory compliance. You must ensure that advertising campaigns comply with local laws and standards to avoid legal issues and to maintain public trust. Ethically, you should strive to create advertisements that are not only effective but also ethical and socially responsible. There is a huge value to transparency and accountability. This case highlights the importance of ethical considerations in both crisis management and advertising practices for a company even as large as Cadbury's. Another example is of Fair and Lovely skin lightening creams. Fair and Lovely advertisements have long been criticized for promoting skin whitening and reinforcing beauty stereotypes. This has raised significant ethical and societal concerns. The impact of skin lightening advertisements on societal norms and self-esteem has been researched and criticized by celebrities. There are regulatory scrutinies. I would like you to explore the steps that Fair and Lovely actually took, and it actually rebranded itself into Fair and Glow and Lovely, indicating that we are promoting glow and not fairness. This brand faced backlash, and there were regulatory bodies which asked it to take back the concept of fairness, which is very stereotypical. Fair and Lovely rebranded itself to Glow and Lovely, therefore saying that we are not promoting lightening, we are promoting glow. So friends, what we learn from this? There is an ethical implication to promoting positive and inclusive beauty standards, and there is a legal implication to avoid misleading advertising claims. The last example in the series that I am considering is an Indian example of Kalyan Jewellers. Kalyan Jeweller was criticized for its misleading advertisement. They faced a backlash. There was an advertisement that featured Amitabh Bachchan and his daughter Shweta Bachchan. And there were ethical considerations that were said that this ad promotes bank employees in a derogatory light. Here, ESCI came in and ESCI asked that this advertisement should be taken off air. I want you to analyze the implications of ethical advertising practices and compliance with advertising codes. You must discuss the consequences that were faced by Kalyan Jewellers, including the legal actions and the impact on its brand reputation. After the intervention of ESCI, this ad was withdrawn, and Kalyan Jewellers reviewed their ad to ensure that it is not demeaning to any particular profession. What do we learn from this? There are ethical responsibilities to respect the portrayal of individuals and professions, and you must legally comply with advertising regulations so that you avoid cases of defamation. Another example is of Pepsi Thi Pee Gaya case. So what actually happened in 1990s? Pepsi had come up with this case and it faced backlash that this is encouraging children to drink sugary drinks. So there were challenges and Pepsi withdrew the ad. There were new regulations that were set up which said that you cannot advertise unhealthy drinks immensely sugary drinks to children because children are too young to actually understand the health implications of such products. So PepsiCo faced significant backlash. There were regulatory guidelines that were updated and upheld to restrict certain unhealthy foods to children being regarding advertising to children. Friends, with this, I wind up the discussion on ethical and legal concerns where the profession of advertising is concerned. In MGM 025, we have discussed journalistic ethics, ethics of public relations, ethics of advertising, and today we discuss some case studies relating to advertising. I hope you would be able to learn from these cases and practice ethical advertising when you actually go on to become a professional in this field. Wishing you all the best with your learning experience. Thank you.
Are you interested in television journalism or radio journalism or online journalism? Or do you want to learn with the flexibility of open learning? Or if you are a working professional, wants to enhance your knowledge and skill with certification in the field of electronic media, then School of Journalism and New Media Study, IGNOU, offers PG Diploma in Electronic Media for you. This program includes audio and audio-visual program production for radio, television and online platforms. Here are some important details about the program. We have total 8 courses of 32 credits, 6 theory courses, 1 practical and 1 project. Eligibility: bachelor's degree in any subject. Minimum duration 1 year, maximum 3 years. Medium is English, but the students can write their examinations, assignments, practical and project in Hindi also. So if you are interested in television, radio or online media, please come and join IGNOU's PG Diploma in Electronic Media.
Welcome students to this session of teleconferencing. In this video today, we are discussing public relations case studies related to media ethics and laws. This is a part of your course MJM 025, the course on media ethics and laws, and this is unit 15, which is the last unit of your course. In block 4, which is the block related to ethics and laws of advertising and PR, we went through unit 13, which was related to laws and ethics in advertising, unit 14, which was laws and ethics in public relations, and in unit 15, we are doing case studies. In one of the earlier videos, I have discussed the case studies related to advertising, and now I will take you through some case studies where good PR practices or bad PR practices can either be condemned or followed. So what happened? How did people tackle this? What do we learn from this? Let me give you a disclaimer. Because this is to learn from cases, we will be taking names of some brands, companies, organizations, or even individuals. These are purely for educational purposes, and me or my organization IGNOU does not promote or demean any of them. This is purely for you to understand the cases. And these cases are also a part of your study material, which is your self-learning material, SLM booklets that you have got as your print help to the study. Now, if you are a student of MAJMC or PGJMC, welcome aboard. If you are a journal audience who has tuned in today, let us get you through some navigating practices in public relations. Now, case studies in public relations. Many analysts treat PR as synonymous with crisis management. There is, however, no denying that the use of PR is imperative to handling a company's image in the times of credit. Crisis can be of various kinds, like natural disaster, scam, something that your consumers found that you did not intend to. PR is important for maintaining your reputation and also your relationship with your internal and external publics. Now, there are some crises that become cases, some landmark handling, some landmark judgment that we as students of PR look at so that we are able to follow through them, so that we are able to either avoid or follow what they are doing. Let us begin with our case studies. What I'm trying to do today is take 5 cases from what is in your study material and take 5 more cases from around you, which is an additional reading to you. Now, the first very important case, which is a landmark case, which is something that you will read in all your PR books, is the case of Tisco, averting the nationalization of Tisco. During the 1970s, Tata Iron and Steel Company faced a potential nationalization by the Indian government. So the government was about to nationalize this company, like all the nationalization wave was going through. Now here the brilliant PR by J.R.D. Tata, who was the CEO of this company, the strategic public relation efforts, helped avert the nationalization. What did Tata do? What did J.R.D. actually go through? He emphasized, engaged and highlighted. What all? He emphasized Tisco's contribution to the Indian economy. He engaged with the stakeholders and policymakers. He brought in the shareholders of the company, the employees, the government, highlighted Tisco's role in national development. And he also highlighted that if Tisco is nationalized, what would be the kind of potential losses or harms that would happen to the economy, to the company. With this kind of a brilliant, effective PR, J.R.D. Tata was able to avoid the nationalization of the company. Effective use of PR to influence even the government policy is what we learn from this case. Importance of stakeholder engagement in corporate strategy was also highlighted by the Tisco case. Balancing corporate interests with national priorities is something that we all learn from this case. So when a crisis strikes, so much so that your company would go out of your hand and maybe nationalized, how do good PR strategies, involvement of your stakeholders can even change the decisions of the government? So you have to liaison, you have to lobby, you have to do a strategic PR. So this case has the ethical responsibility of this company person, J.R.D. Tata, towards his employees, and it had the legal binding of dealing with the government policies. Let's come to another very important case in the Indian history, which is the Save Narmada Crusade. The Narmada Bachao Andolan was led by activists like Medha Patekar. This Andolan aimed to stop the construction of dams on the Narmada River that would actually be hazardous and that would lead to the displacement of many of the local people. This movement is a case of how it used PR to highlight the social and environmental impacts of the dam projects. So how the activists actually took hold of the media, the public, everybody came together to actually stop the construction of these dams, which was again a government project. So this case actually tells us that even when you are dealing with government on the other end and you can do good PR in interest of the people, you can still put your point across. The key points of this case are how it raised awareness through media campaigns, legal battles and advocacy for the displaced communities were fought, international support and recognition was also sought. So the whole globe kind of got involved for local communities. I would like you to discuss this case amongst your peers and your class in the light of what is the role of PR in social and environmental activism? What are legal and ethical considerations in large-scale development projects? And what is the impact of media on shaping the public opinion and policy? Friends, when we deal with persuasive communication, persuasive messaging as strong as PR, when we are dealing with government or the state, still public opinion, advocacy, and support from the global and public local can help you get your point across. This is the case that Narmada Bachao Andolan crusade, this case teaches us. Another case now where the government did a wonderful PR is the Ayodhya verdict case. In 2010, Allahabad High Court verdict on Ayodhya dispute was a very significant moment in the Indian history. This case was in dispute. People had actually had communal rights with related to this site. The PR strategies were very crucial to manage communal sensitivities and maintain peace. So when this verdict came out, when it said that, okay, a mandir can be constructed at that site, how would you avoid communal violence? How the sensitivities of the public that were very delicate at that moment, how they could have not been, harmed. This is where the government did a wonderful job with its PR. What did they do? The key points that they managed was media was managed to ensure balanced reporting, that none of the media would actually report things that would incite any communal sensitivities. Appeals for peace and restraint were made by political and religious leaders. These leaders came out to the public and requested them to have restraints. Monitoring and countering misinformation was done by the government, that no rumors, no misinformation, no disinformation, no fake news was actually crossing the public mind. So, by monitoring and regulating the news, by the help of political and religious leaders whom people respected and regarded, by managing the media in a positive manner, the government was able to handle this verdict of the Supreme Court in the public in a very, very peaceful manner. What would you learn from this case? What should you discuss about this case? The importance of PR in sensitive legal and communal issues. Ethical considerations in media reporting on sensitive topics. When you become a reporter, when you go out in the field, how should you be sensitive while reporting communal issues? Strategies for maintaining social harmony and public order is what this case teaches us. Another Indian case, which I think is very near to every Indian's heart, is CWG, which is Commonwealth Games opening ceremony. In 2010, when India was hosting the CWG in Delhi, it faced numerous controversies, but the opening ceremony was a PR success. Actually, what had happened, there was a lot of pre-event discussion about corruption, about mishandling of the organizational support, about the global mockery that we would make about ourselves. Therefore, the government took upon itself that the opening ceremony should shut every rumor mongering, should shut all the criticism, and that indeed happened. This event showcased India's cultural heritage and organizational capabilities. A wonderful opening ceremony happened, and the people were able to say, okay, India is capable of holding a global event of this stature. Spectacular presentation and execution, advertising, and having a good PR to address all the pre-event controversies, and positive media coverage that resulted in public reputation and public reception of this event was something that actually happened. So there is a role of PR even in large-scale international events. When you overcome negative perceptions and controversies by showcasing national pride and cultural heritage, this negativity was actually overcome in the CWG opening ceremony. Another important case is Sahara versus SEBI case. Now, this is a case in financial communications and financial regulations. Sahara India Parivar faced legal battles with SEBI, which is Securities Exchange Board of India, over raising funds through OFCDs, which is optionally fully convertible debentures. This case actually highlights the importance of regulating compliance and PR in corporate crisis, especially in financial matters. Now, what was the case? There was a legal challenge and Supreme Court verdict that Sahara Parivar had to face. This was an impact on Sahara's business operations and reputations. Sahara was a big company, and this case, because the court got involved, SEBI got involved, their stakes, their shares, their public reputation, all of that was facing a toll. There were brilliant PR strategies that were done to manage the public perception about the company. So what happened was, when SEBI brought Sahara into a legal battle and the case went to the Supreme Court, Sahara had a responsibility towards its stakeholders or the shareholders who were having the company's shares. They came out in media. They did not shy away from dealing with the regulations. They actually came out. They were very transparent. Sahara as a company came transparently out to the public, telling them this is happening, this is what we are doing, these are the legal regulations, this is what is being said about us, this is what we are denying, this is what we did, this is what we did not do. So all the stakeholders kind of trusted the company and they stood by the company during the crisis. So legal and ethical responsibilities in financial operations are paramount. So when you become a reporter or a PR person, how you legally and ethically deal with financial operations, reporting of financial matters is what you learn from this case. There is a wonderful role that PR can play in managing regulatory disputes. There is a long-term impact on corporate reputation and stakeholder trust that can either be maintained or it can be destroyed through good or bad public relation strategies. Friends, these were the cases that are discussed in your self-learning material. Now let us come to some of the additional cases that you would benefit from when you go through public relation ethical practices. Let us discuss some of the Indian cases. The Tata Nano launch case. The Tata Nano was actually promoted as the world's cheapest car. But the PR campaign faced challenges due to safety concerns and market positioning. The launch raised important questions about ethical considerations in PR. A balance between affordability and safety of the product had to be maintained. The role of public relations in managing public perceptions and stakeholder expectations is something that this case is very important about. So what had happened was, Tata Nano was launched saying that it is the cheapest car. A layperson would be able to afford a car if they have affordability of a scooter. But what happened was, people said, is it a safe car? It is so small. Can we drive it in the highway? So the safety had to be tackled. When there was a positive sentiment about the costing of the car, a negative sentiment emerged about the safety of the car. So this case you should actually be discussing in terms of the PR strategies used to address the safety concerns and repositioning of the Nano as not only a cheap but also a safe car. You must evaluate the impact of these strategies on consumer trust and the market performance of Tata Nano. Let me discuss this with you. I am asking you to put across these questions in your mind, and the answers are that Tata Motors addressed safety concerns through extensive PR campaigns emphasizing the car's safety features. The company repositioned the Nano as an affordable yet reliable vehicle. Effective stakeholder communication helped mitigate negative perceptions and rebuild trust not only in Nano but also in Tata as a larger company. The ethical implications are balancing affordability with safety, and the legal implications that Tata Nano case faced is ensuring compliance with safety standards and regulations. This word regulations comes again and again when we talk of media ethics and media laws. Another important case which we all saw through our lifetime is Nestle Maggi noodles ban. In 2015, Maggi noodles was banned in India due to high levels of lead. Nestle's PR team had to manage this crisis, rebuild trust, and also navigate regulatory challenges. This was crisis communication at its best. The strategies that were used by Nestle have become a case study now. The role of PR in restoring consumer confidence and complying with regulatory standards is very important in this particular case. I want you to ponder over and analyze the PR tactics that were used by Nestle, including the public statements, media engagements, and also the product reforms that they carried out. Also discuss the ethical dilemmas that are faced during the crisis and the long-term impact that a brand undergoes because of such kind of a crisis. Friends, when it was said that Maggi has high lead content, the initial reaction of Nestle was, we are not bothered, these are small rumors that will die down. But they did not. It became a larger public outcry issue. That is when Nestle awoke to this and they said, we have to do something about it. What did they do? They had advertisements, they had great PR strategies, they had visits to their factories, they had redoing of their product. They said this new Maggi is coming up, and now in this new Maggi we are taking care of the health, and the production is ensuring that there is no lead. So the health issues were done. Nestle India conducted extensive testing to prove Maggi's safety, collaborating with the regulatory authorities. A recall was issued and transparent communication strategy was adopted to keep the public constantly and perpetually informed. Post the crisis, Nestle launched a Welcome Back Maggi campaign to reintroduce Maggi, emphasizing the quality and safety. So this Welcome Back campaign says, we have reworked on the product in your interest. We value our consumers. We actually pay heed to your feedback, and we are just not shunning the issue. So this ethical and regulatory concerns about this case are, ethically you must ensure product safety and transparency, and legally it is important to comply with food safety and regulations and address public health concerns. Let's come to a very important case again, which is to do with the financial ethical PR. The case of Satyam scandal. The Satyam scandal exposed a massive corporate fraud. The public relations strategy focused on crisis communication and restoring stakeholder confidence. Ethical and legal implications were about the corporate fraud, role of PR in managing the crisis and maintaining corporate governance is what this case is to be discussed about. Let us discuss this case in the line of the steps that were taken by Satyam PR team, including media management and stakeholder communication. Let us also evaluate the Satyam case for the effectiveness of these strategies in rebuilding trust and ensuring the compliance with regulations. This case is wonderfully analyzed in many of the books, and I would want you to analyze this case by knowing Satyam's PR team focused on transparency and accountability. They issued public apologies and updates. Their CEO came out in the open saying, we are sorry, we did inflate. We take responsibility that we inflated the profit figures, and therefore this kind of thing is there that we should not have done. This company underwent a rebranding process and strengthened corporate governance and policies. Stakeholder engagement and media relations was crucial in regaining the public trust and the public image of Satyam Computers. The ethical implication that we learn from this case is upholding corporate governance and transparency, and legally addressing corporate fraud and regulatory compliance. Friends, when such huge finances are involved, scams, frauds, maybe they happen. But how do you face them? How do you build back the trust of your public is what is important. Another case is about Ola Cab's regulatory challenges. Ola faced several regulatory PR challenges, including safety concerns and compliance with local laws. This company's PR strategies were crucial to navigating these issues. Impact of regulatory hurdles on PR strategies. ethical considerations in promoting safety compliance. You must ponder over and evaluate the PR approaches used by Ola to address the regulatory issues and enhance brand image. Discuss the importance of ethical practices in maintaining public trust and compliance. Ola implemented stringent safety measures and promoted them through PR campaigns. The company worked closely with regulators to ensure compliance and address concerns. Effective communication strategies helped Ola in maintaining its market position and even the public trust. The implications of this case are ethical implication being ensuring passenger safety and compliance, and legal implication is navigating regulatory hurdles and maintaining operational transparency. Let us come to the last case today, which is the ICICI Bank leadership controversy. What actually happened? ICICI Bank faced a PR crisis when CEO Chanda Kochhar was implicated in a conflict of interest scandal. This bank had to manage the fallout and even maintain the public interest. It was said that this bank has given undue loans to Videocon. Strategies for managing leadership controversies in PR and the impact of legal lapses on corporate reputation is what we learn about this case. I encourage you to analyze the PR strategies employed by ICICI Bank to handle the controversy, including crisis communication and stakeholder engagement. ICICI Bank issued public stakeholder confidence and maintaining brand integrity. Managing leadership controversies with transparency and ensuring compliance with regulatory standards and corporate governance are the implications of this case. Now, friends, we have gone through the advertising and PR case studies. To sum up, I would say history and examples teach us what to do and what not to do. Ethics and laws are going hand in hand in regulating the content. Mass media, by virtue of its reach, needs to be regulated and cased through radio and online. This is Padmini Jain signing off for today. Hope you have